G'day, we are here with Reid Scott and Reid. Veep this week. Dan resigned.
Yeah.
He's or resigned. He's out of there. Just talk us through, I guess, that big moment and like what it meant for you when you got that script or you were told that that was happening.
I was excited about it. One of the things that we sort of pride ourselves on in Veep is that you can always, expect the unexpected. Armando Iannucci and his writers have this incredible talent to somehow paint us into corners and then find a hilarious way to sort of paint us back out. So when they told me, look, you're going to get fired this week, I was like, oh shit, really? Like, no, don't worry. Dan gets fired. You're sticking around. And then they sort of, I don't want to give anything away, but they sort of told me what they have in store for Dan down the line. And it's just hilarious. It's really funny. It's a great opportunity to bring in a whole new facet of the DC world. And you'll see what I mean next week. And it was a lot of fun to do it. It was a great episode.
Yeah, like you've got that scene with Kevin Dunn where you're told that this is happening, and with the way you do your show where there's a lot of rehearsals and improvising and building on the scene, like how is it like constructing that scene as an actor with him?
Oh, it was a blast. Actually, when Kevin and I got the script, we had our table read, and he and I instantly just sort of like locked eyes. We lit up. We're like, oh man, this is going to be fun. We finally get to go toe to toe. And Kevin and I have gotten to be good buddies, and we've always sort of, thought that Dan and Ben are a lot alike. That we could see Dan turning into a Ben later on in his career, and as much as they have in common, they respect each other, but I think they actually kind of hate each other. So we were like, this is a great opportunity for us to just really have some fun and bare some teeth and really go at one another. And so that day, it was kind of crazy because we're at this beautiful mansion in Maryland with this sprawling lawn that served as the White House lawn. And they got kids running all over the place and the guy in the Easter Bunny costume, bobbing around. And Kevin and I are like, man, like, when are we going to get to our scene? This is going to be really fun. And then to sort of tear into this, just cutting, just spitting vitriolic kind of scene in front of all these kids was, we got kind of a kick out of it. But Kevin's great, man. He's an amazing actor and someone that I've admired for a really long time. So to finally have kind of a dramatic scene opposite him was a real treat for me. It was great.
There's been like this season on Veep, like a lot of sort of big dramatic sort of like head-to-heads, like even Tony and Selena the week before. And it's like been a real season where people have clashed a lot.
Yeah, I think, conflict is, you always need conflict to make something interesting. And, the idea of behind comedy is that you're just taking, what necessarily could be a dramatic moment and just heightening all the stakes of it to the point of it being, absurd or farcical or just, funny in some regard. And I think we really sort of hit that stride this season, which taking these highly stressful moments and pitting characters against each other. And, just watching the sort of sparks fly from that.
It's really been, I guess, a show that maybe more so than most other shows on TV hasn't been afraid to change gears with characters and with sort of the storyline, going from, vice president to presidential campaign to being president as sort of like the story shifting gears, but also with characters where last season you'll have, Jonah kicked out of the White House and trying to make it on his own. And this season now you kicked out of the White House and trying to make it on his own. Is that exciting to sort of get to change gears like that as a series, but also as a character and an actor?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one of the challenges of doing a series for a long time is how do you keep it fresh? Keep it fresh not only for the audience, but also for, the actors, for the directors, for the writers. So mixing it up is, a welcomed challenge. It's something new every day on the set for sure. And then also, we also have a lot of we employ a lot of improv. So there's already just this sort of spirit and nature to Veep of, just mix it up, fly by the seat of your pants, something new all the time, keep it fresh, keep it fresh. So, I mean, one thing that we've learned as a cast is just to, never get too comfortable, because as soon as you think you know what your character's going to do, they're going to throw you a nice curveball.
Yeah, it's almost like TV now, and I think you guys are sort of at the forefront of it. Like, you're looking at like telling a story over a couple of seasons rather than having to reset at the end of each season or the end of each episode.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, there's a grander story to tell. And, one of the things that I personally like about our show is that, they don't spend the first 10 minutes catching you up. They sort of rely on the fact that if you're watching this show, you're invested, you're probably keeping up on your own. So there's not a lot of recapping. We don't have like a previously on Veep sort of moment before each episode, because the show is really more interested in telling, just like you said, the overall story.
And I guess like last season with Dan, like with his big meltdown and breakdown in London and things, you sort of thought he'd hit his lowest that he could possibly hit. Do you think this getting sort of kicked out of the White House is an even lower point for him, or like, because he didn't have the breakdown that he did last season?
Yeah, I think it's Dan is nothing if not getting used to crushing defeat, which is, these huge and repeated blows to his ego. I think with the nervous breakdown, it was really more that he had to come to grips with, wow, maybe he can't handle the pressure the way he thought he could. Maybe he's not as good at this game as he thought he was. I think he bounces back from that and it really starts to enjoy the power that he gets to wield, once they're actually in the White House. And then with this sort of forced resignation, while it sucks for him, certainly, I mean, he's out of a great job. In the DC machine, like the day you're fired can often be the day you're hired somewhere else. So I think, in a way, it's a bit of a badge of honor that he did a tour of duty in the White House, left amidst headlines, and let's see where he goes from here.
And I guess the interesting thing for Dan here, like mentally, is that this wasn't really like, he loves fixing problems and he's like really just this frenetic ball of the ego. And sort of this was something which wasn't really his own fault. Like, this wasn't like, something that he'd done wrong. He sort of had to fall on the sword for the team. Right. So I guess it sort of doesn't really like speak to his own insecurities that he's out of a job here, and he can like now sort of try to MacGyver his way out of the hole he's in.
Totally. If anything, he should probably be a little proud of it, because, they needed someone public, they needed someone important, quote unquote, to take the fall on this. And the fact that they're choosing him, while that sucks, it's, in a way, it's a nod that that Dan was important, that he was, a big enough head to roll for this, catastrophe.
Yeah. Now we've got with the show, you guys got for the past 2 seasons Screen Actors Guild Ensemble nominations. What was sort of that like to break through in that category, where like, because especially with all the rehearsals you guys do on Veep, like to be honored as an ensemble, it probably means a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was a huge point of pride for us, because, we, as a cast, we gelled like day one. It was one of those really rare instances where, inside of 10 minutes, we were all best friends and we all had similar sensibilities and we all played our particular game in the same style. We really work very well together. And to get that kind of recognition, from the Screen Actors Guild, it does mean a lot. We have a lot of fun doing what we do, but the fact that, other people are enjoying it as much as we are, that's, it's a really good feeling.
And and also the Emmy Awards, you guys, like every year your show's gotten more nominations. It's sort of been on the rise at the Emmys. It's sort of like built on the momentum year after year. And not yourself, but you've seen like from the first season with just Julia getting nominated to the next year, Tony and Anna getting nominated, and them all backing up, and then Gary getting into the guest actor race last year. Yeah. It seems like season 1, especially before the show started, a lot of people thought, oh, this is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's new show. Whereas now it's just like other people in the cast are getting nominated. Tony won a couple of years ago. Have you felt that momentum build at the awards for the show?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I think, we don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the award stuff until it kind of happens, just because it's always an honor when you do get that kind of recognition. But, first and foremost, we're here to make a good show. I think if anything, we've sort of felt the momentum of the show getting better and better and better as we go. And the fact that that's being reflected, one way or another by these nominations and by like these wins, that's just the icing on the cake. So, we're having more and more fun every season. And if it's paying off, come award time, then, that's just great too.
Obviously, like a big part of why the show's been able to grow so much and build so much is Armando Iannucci and, his writing, his creation of the series. And it was announced that he's leaving the show at the end of the season. What impact do you think that's going to have on the series moving forward?
That's a really great question. I mean, Armando he's going to be an incredibly tough guy to replace because he's had such a unique vision for the show. This is all his brainchild. Like every single character is another side of Armando. And he made the show what it is, obviously. But, for us, he ushered in this real sense of camaraderie, of inclusion. The fact that we, get the script so far in advance, so we have this really unique rehearsal process, and we're allowed to be the custodians of our own character and improvise and suggest ideas, not only in the moment, but, for episodes to come. It was really a special thing, a unique thing. I've never worked with anybody quite like Armando. He will be missed for sure. That being said, I think our new showrunner, David Mandel, who I'm a huge fan of, we all got to sit down. We all were over at Julia Louis-Dreyfus's house just last week for some drinks and to sort of, say hi and get to know you kind of thing. David is going to be, a really welcome addition. I think he's got his work cut out for him, man, because I don't think he knows quite, what kind of zoo the set of Veep has turned into. It's the lunatics running the asylum pretty much. But, he's an incredibly talented guy. He and Julia have this wonderful rapport from working together for years and years on Seinfeld and on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I have no doubt he's going to hit the ground running. And, I expect, next season will be even better than this one because that's been sort of our trend so far. So, we're looking forward to working with David.
Yeah, it's sort of like very interesting, like because on the West Wing, the political drama, you had Aaron Sorkin leave after 4 seasons, very different reasons. But and I think with the West Wing, those seasons after he left were still very good, still got lots of Emmy nominations, probably not seen as quite at the same level as the Sorkin years. But I wonder if because you've got such a unique way your show's put together, that Armando's sort of created this culture of collaboration that it's more easy to walk away from and you guys still know what you're meant to be doing?
I think that's exactly right. He, even the way he ran the show, when he was there, he had this, his guys, Tony Roach, Simon Blackwell, Chris Addison, they were Armando when Armando, was off writing or off, getting ready for the next episode. And we learned from them the way that they learned from him. So there really is this kind of lineage that will live on. And look, it'll be different, obviously, and different isn't, is very often a good thing. So I think getting some fresh blood in there, a new perspective. Obviously, we're not going to be changing it up too much because, the show is established and we know our characters and know what works. But I think we know enough about Arm and his way of doing things that stuff will sort of be pervasive throughout.
What do you have from the past 4 seasons of Veep, or the past 3 and current 4 season? Do you have a favorite Dan moment?
Oh man, God, I don't know if I have a favorite. Honestly, last night's episode was one of my favorites of all time, just because I love watching these idiots fall on their face. There's nothing quite as satisfying as seeing so many despicable people, get their comeuppance. So I had a blast with that. But probably, man, going back to season one, I think the pilot was just so fun. Honestly, getting to know all those characters. And there's a little moment when Dan ushers Selena into his Senate when he's still working for the senator. He brings her into the office, and he has this little moment that I think sort of says it all, where he introduces himself and he says, "Hi, I'm Dan Egan. I'm chief of staff to Senator so-and-so." And then under his breath, he just says, "currently," and sort of letting her know that he's upwardly mobile, or at least he looks at himself as being so. And I just love doing that scene. We shot that scene, for a few hours. And then the scene goes on to Dan sort of like, giving a hard time to Amy, and then making fun of Gary, played by Tony Hale, for like not being able to figure out how to use the coffee machine. And all this, in like 3 pages of dialogue, you just really got to see, this total prick that Dan is. It was a lot of fun.
Do you think Veep's a show where it's sort of almost about the little moments, where like that they say even more than the big flashy scenes, just those little asides, little comments?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you're really going to learn the most about these characters from the subtleties, from the little side comments, from like the little, the looks here and there, the things that they mutter, under their breath, things they mutter in passing. It's those small nuances that make the characters interesting. I mean, to me last night, and first, even as a cast member, every time I watch an episode, I have to watch it twice because there's so much going on. There's little things that either you weren't there for that scene when they were shooting it, so you missed out on some really funny stuff, or you just sort of don't quite remember it from when you shot it yourself. But, the thing I like about the show is that it's so dense. There's so much going on all the time. You really have to pay attention, but then that sort of, it sucks you into the world. It makes you engage as an audience member. It's just a fun ride.
Yeah. Do you what do you think? Do you think you'd submit, like, if you got nominated for the Emmy, the episode from this week, or do you have something like really big coming up in the next?
I don't know.
I guess you got 7 episodes to go.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, and really good stuff for everybody. I know, speaking for myself, there's a couple episodes coming up sort of halfway through, and then towards the second half of the season, that it's some really, really fun Dan stuff. But last night's episode was just such a strong episode all around. I don't know. I got lucky this season. I got a lot of good Dan's got a lot of good stuff to sort of play with. So it's going to be tough to choose.
And do you have much to do with Hugh Laurie when he comes on the show later this year?
Not so much, actually, because Dan's gone by the time Hugh's character shows up. And they're sort of kept at arm's length for a reason. But Hugh, because we all got to hang out together because we shoot in Baltimore, so we're all sort of sequestered together. And it's this very kind of, theater camp environment where we're just, eating, sleeping, and breathing, and, seeing movies and going out to dinner together. He was a great guy. We were so lucky to have him. Really, really funny guy. So talented. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, to seeing everyone's reaction to his character.
Yeah, no, it's like, it seems like Veep's not really a show where you want sort of stunt casting as much, but because of his background with British sketch comedy and things like that, it just seems like a very good fit for the show.
He was a great fit for the show. He and Armando go back, quite a ways. Just like you said, I mean, that very particular British style of, political comedy is something that he's been around for a long, long time. But yeah, we don't do a lot of stunt casting. I don't think the show really needs it so much. And I think if anything, you almost are sort of pulled out of the world if you're sort of dazzled by a big star sort of walking through. You want to kind of just believe that these people exist on their own. And Hugh is such a wonderful actor. He has a way of just sort of like blending into the world. And maybe the first time you see him on screen, you're kind of like, oh, wow, that's Hugh Laurie. But then he just sort of seamlessly, blends into the whole world so well. You buy him as his character immediately.
For speaking of other people on the show, like, it's really been apparent how well you've been embraced by people in Washington DC. Are they still really happy with the picture you're painting of their profession in town?
I don't know if they've ever been really happy with the picture that we've been painting of their little town. I think they appreciate it. I think the better of the DC crowd likes to laugh at themselves a little bit, but obviously we're not making them look too good, which is sort of the point of the show. We've gotten a lot of, overwhelmingly, I think they like it, but we've gotten some comments here and there about, what are you trying to do to us? I won't say who, but there's a couple of big politicians out there that aren't as keen on the show as others.
Oh, okay. And you're our first Veep cab off the rank this season at Gold Derby to talk to. So I'm sure over the course of the season we're going to be talking to some more. Are there any questions you'd like us to ask some of your castmates if we get a chance to chat with them?
Oh, you know what? Ask Tim Simons how soft Patton Oswalt's hands are.
Oh, well, yeah, I will. That's a good question. I think we're trying to schedule one with him, so that's very good. That'll be exciting. And we haven't chatted with him at Gold Derby before, so that'll be a good question to kick things off with.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hearing the answer to that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us today, Reid.
Sure.
All the best of luck with Veep this season. All the best with everything at the Emmys, and like with Armando's last year, with your sort of each year you're building on those nominations. Maybe this is Veep's sort of year to pull off an Emmy coup.
Oh, that'd be great. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Julia's got a good chance of winning again, if nothing else. She's won every season.
I know. Honestly, we're going to be shocked if she doesn't win it again, and she deserves it too because she keeps getting better.
And she's really clever in like making great, memorable moments when she wins awards, so people don't feel bad about ticking her name off again. She's the best.
She is the best. She just has this way of just winning everybody over all the time, and in a completely genuine way. I mean, she's just funny incarnate. She's one of the funniest ladies you're ever going to meet.
And you sort of go, oh, I really want her to win, even though she's won the last three, because what is she going to do when she wins? She's going to make out with Bryan Cranston? Is she going to get up with Tony?
I don't know what she's going to do. I mean, how is she going to, keep topping herself year after year? She's going to end up having to like fly in on a drone or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but everyone will be disappointed if she doesn't do anything.
That could be a good move too if she just totally deadpans it and just does nothing and just leaves everyone slack-jawed.
Yeah, that would be good. Oh, well, thanks so much, Reid. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. You too.